Chapter 8, Bethana's Trial. You must have asked for it. The words slithered from Dan Feldman's lips, sharp as a blade. He moved slowly, circling Bethana like a jackal, his gaze cold and appraising. Probably led him on, brought him to your apartment, seduced him, and then, when he didn't satisfy you, you decided to ruin his life. Bethana stood motionless in the center of the adobe chamber, the dim torchlight casting long shadows on the sun-dried clay walls. Dust and sand clung to her bare feet, her leather sandals left by the door, as was custom. Her simple linen tunic hung loose over her frame, the thick material rough against her skin. Dan stepped closer, brushing his fingers through the back of her hair. His breath was warm against her ear as he whispered, "What's it like to have no virtue?" She willed herself to remain still, to not react. Behind him, the others watched, silent figures draped in their first-century robes, expressions unreadable. Dr. Aaron Levy, the elder among them, sat in his place of authority, built into the very structure of the room like a throne carved from stone. His presence was heavier than the heat pressing in from outside. "Well?" he asked, his deep voice filling the space. "What do you say to these accusations?" Bethana's fingers curled at her sides. "This isn't a trial. This is a test." She forced herself to remain steady, thinking to herself, "I say that you are no better than the Pharisees who condemned the innocent to maintain their own illusion of righteousness." A scoff from one of the younger men. Her silence points to her guilt. "Maybe we should follow the old law and stone her." Laughter rippled through the room, and something inside Bethana snapped. "You fools." She looked up, her voice calm, her stare unwavering. "I was raped. A sin was committed against me. I did not commit the sin." Feldman's mouth twisted into a sneer. "Intercourse outside of marriage is a sin." Bethana took a step forward. "And judging unjustly is a greater sin." The tension in the room thickened. The men looked between one another, unsure if they should press their power further. Dr. Levy stood, his gaze heavy. "Even if we permit you to go, you may endanger our mission. You are too headstrong for a woman of that time period. Women were second-class citizens, slaves. If something like this happens in the past, you could destroy everything." Bethana's breath was slow and controlled. "That's not entirely true." She took another step forward, standing her ground. "The New Testament reveals that women were among Jesus' earliest followers. Miriam saved Moses. Esther saved the Jewish people. Rahab helped the fall of Jericho. Mary, the Mother of God, bore the Savior of the world. And while his male disciples fled, it was the women who stayed at the foot of the cross. It was a woman who first witnessed the resurrection." She met their eyes one by one. "Don't ever tell me that women were unimportant." Dr. Levy exhaled slowly, rubbing his temples. "Regardless, Bethana, there is another reason why you may hinder this project." Her jaw clenched. "And what is that?" His voice was even, measured. "You are not Jewish." Silence. "There were no Christians during the time of Christ. There were only Jews." Bethana felt her heartbeat quicken. "I know the Jewish faith." Dr. Levy shook his head. "You may know it, but you do not live it. You have been raised too deeply in Christianity. Your instincts will betray you. You may think you are preserving history, but you could change it. And if you change it, you may ruin everything." Bethana took a slow, controlled breath. Then, without another word, she walked toward the corner of the room and picked up a small stone. She turned, holding it out. "Then as Christ said, let he who is without sin cast the first stone." The air in the room thickened, but no one moved. Bethana exhaled through her nose and dropped the stone. "You don't get to make this decision for me." Without another word, she turned, walked to the door, put on her sandals, and left. The night air was cooler against her skin, but the heat of her anger remained. She moved toward her tent, but before she could enter, she spotted Zebedeo standing nearby, hunched over something. His hands trembled as he held a fragile, ancient scroll. Bethana frowned. "What is that?" Zeb turned quickly, hiding it at his side. But she had already seen the parchment, old and brittle, its edges worn with time. "It's nothing." Bethana stepped closer. "Zeb, let me see it." He hesitated, then with a careful motion, he unfurled it slightly. Bethana's breath caught in her throat. It was written in English. "No," she whispered, "that's impossible." Zeb's eyes gleamed with barely contained excitement. "Look at the handwriting." She did, and then she froze. It was his, Zeb's handwriting, but older, faded, ancient, Her pulse pounded in her ears. "Zeb, this is from the past." A slow grin spread across his face. "No, this is from the future." Bathana felt her knees weaken. "You wrote this." He nodded. She snatched the parchment, scanning the words. She read them once, twice, the reality of it sinking in like a weight. "We succeed." That's what it meant. They go back in time. They live in that world. And somehow, through time and space, Zeb had left behind proof that they existed. She gasped, looking up at him. "We have to hide this. No one can know." He nodded, carefully rolling up the scroll. "Now do you see? We have to go." Bathana swallowed, heart pounding. She had been filled with doubt, with fear, with anger. But now she had seen proof, and there was no turning back.